Namaste and welcome to the Amazing Vedas Podcast with Dr. Pariksith Singh. We just saw how Aditi is the original matrix in which we can feel safe and protected, where we can connect to her easily through, in a sense, our primal instinct as children. We look to our mother, and it's a connection which even precedes and predates later notions of love and affection and intimacy. It's just so natural that we reach out. So in our moments of uh, whatever you want to call it, helplessness, darkness, despair, that primal cry connects us with our mother, who is Mahashakti as well, who empowers us. So let's put these feminine goddesses and deities together, and let's try and connect with, you know, one of the wonderful aspects of Indian culture and civilization, which is this great reverence for the divine feminine, which is also carried out, in our daily lives, the way we look at women. Sri Ramakrishna even saw the Divine Mother in a cat. Anything feminine to him was a source of inspiration and protection and affection. So, uh, can you, Dr. Singh, elaborate on this? Um, you know, I don't want to call it matrilineal or matriarchal. These are very modern terms, but this sense of cosmic energy that we in India so easily relate with the feminine.
I think one of the most beautiful ways that I have come to terms with Shiva and Shakti, who are supposed to be the two poles in our minds. And again, we live in Diti, right? So our minds are diffracted, all dualistic. And in the Veda, wherever there is duality, there is evil. Okay, so the evil is where the devil is. And where is the devil? Devil is duality. So to kind of play with words. But Dvaita creates confusion. Dvaita creates lack of clarity, lack of rhythm, lack of perception. But one of the great sages of modern times, Sri Ramakrishna, said it very beautifully. And I'm going to paraphrase him because my Bengali is a little rusty. The difference between Shiva and Shakti is the difference between the sugar and its sweetness. Really, it's in our head. It's a concept that is in our head. It makes it easy for us to kind of sort out the world and put it there, the male, the female. But if you really look at it, what are we associating the female with? The intimacy, the love, the gentleness, the comfort, the nourishment, which this universe is. We wouldn't be here today if that complete protection of the universe was not around us completely. But this is also convenience of thought, that it's all a woman. Where is the consciousness? The consciousness is an intimate part of this energy. So the Veda does not see consciousness, pure consciousness, as separate from this energy. Later philosophic meditations, conceptualizations like the Sankhya, and I think that was just to make it easier for you to analyze, to cut. Sankhya means to cut, to divide, to analyze. Khyayate iti Sankhya, that which counts and separates, that Sankhya. So Sankhya says there are two principles, the male and the female. But in the Veda, if you go back, they fluctuate. It's very beautiful how it fluctuates. And at one point they say the universe came out of the universal mother, Vagadevi, right? 10th Mandala, 125 Sukta, beautiful, gorgeous. She says, I am the beginning of the universe. I hold the universe, and in me all of it ends. I uphold the skies and the earth, and I walk with the Adityas and the Agni, and I am the one carrying Varuna. And what gorgeous announcement is made. Complete confidence. But then you go to Hiranyagarbha or the Purusha Sukta. Purusha Sukta is it's coming from the Purusha, which we traditionally associate as the male.
Male, yeah.
But when you really go to the higher levels of Shaktiism, we realize that the Shakti is a manifestation of Shiva, not as a separation, not apadana. Apadana is you pull it away and separate them out, but as an intimate representation of that energy that can easily coil back into the absolute stillness of Shiva, and that can easily at the same time be the most dynamic energy. In our minds, we associate that dynamic movement with the mother principle because of our own personal experiences. The father, of course, is aloof, sit back, and you are scared of the father, and the father is okay, I'm there for you, but go to mom. And mom is there, you do all kinds of things, and mom is there, okay, comfort you, you fall down, she'll cry, you'll cry, she's there. But that is out of our experience. However, the beauty of the divine unity is that father is also our mother, and this mother is also our father. Now, it's okay to see her as the divine mother, the matrix through which is everything, the womb which is bearing us, and our self is but a part of that divine mother. We are not separate. We think we are separate, but we are always intimately one with that mother. And that intimacy is what probably reminds us of that intimacy we feel with our mother. And probably that takes us back to our original birth where we connected. So it is more intimate. The intimacy with the Divine Mother is even more intimate than your human mother. It's more constant. It is eternal. That is the beauty of this universe. That is how the Vedic rishis brought it out. And the birth of the universe that is coming out of this mother is not a one-time process, but it is an eternal process. And that's the beauty of it. It's unfortunately in some traditions, it became like, okay, by a fiat, I make this universe and now you're on your own. And that's okay. It's a way of understanding. It's okay. But here in the Vedic sense, there's a profound unity with that mother, constant touch, constant oneness. In fact, if you look at the first three suktas, the ending of the three suktas, it comes with Saraswati, who is coming down, descending on us after we have done all our preparation. But what do we say about her? She holds Yagyam Dadhe Saraswati. She has been holding our attempt to realize her. Even our attempt to find the divine is held by the Divine Mother. So it is something that confounds the brain. But if we understand that even this movement of the brain to understand her is her, then maybe we will begin to see the appreciation. It's like a big ocean, Maho Arnaha. When we look at the Maho Arnaha, you say this wave says, okay, let me describe the ocean. Okay, fine, maybe you can describe your perimeter, maybe. But how much can you describe? So at the end of it, all you can do is be. Just be and know that you're always a part of this ocean. And that is the fabulous realization that I think the Veda gives us.
Yes, I think one of the things you said struck me. That is, it's not a one-off thing. Creation was started and then you're on your own. It's like you're being, the creation is going on all the time.
Yes.
Which means there is a possibility that, something new can happen right now, even as we speak. And speaking of Sri Ramakrishna, I was reminded of what one of the monks of his order, he's really a very gifted teacher, Swami Sarvapriyananda said.
Yes.
He says, I have no problem. He says, Hindus have no problem with, born again people, born again Christians or whatever, because we're born again and again and again. It's just, so
Yes.
we have no difficulty with this idea.
Yes.
But, you're born again and again until you realize you're unborn, so it's a bit like that. And as Sri Ramakrishna said, you have Vidya Maya and avidya maya. So, like Aditi and Diti, two aspects of the same power. Now, which one are you going to invoke? So, all of these ideas, the Devi Suktam in the Rig Veda itself has these ideas in their seed form. And then you have, the Navratris, the great festivals of India where the goddesses are worshipped. Each day, a particular goddess is worshipped and invoked. But it's all there in the Vedas, in the Devi Suktam. You have this idea of this tremendous goddess who rises up and, also defeats evil, because again, evil is a form of duality. Ignorance is
Right.
actually right born out of duality. And if we have that confidence, as you look at any child, you look at them with their mom, they're so confident, they're so happy, they don't have a care in the world. And I think we need to feel like that, and we can, I feel, uh, actually connect with that original innocence if we allow Aditi to be reborn in us so that we can be reborn in her, if you like. So this process goes on in all eternity, and we can see that at the cellular level, the constant, birth and death of ourselves at that cellular level, right? And we can see it at the quantum level, the constant firing, of these particles, and that movement. So creation is going on all the time. It's not that it was, or that we were born and that's it. No, we are born and we are being reborn and recreated every moment. Uh, we are actually a proof, as it were, of that very process that we are talking about. And yesterday, somebody said very interestingly, in our Amazing Vedas program, that poetry is nothing but the spoken word, you know, expressing itself spontaneously through, its chosen mouthpiece at that moment. So wonderful. Any concluding thoughts on, Mahashakti, the feminine,
Yes.
supreme feminine of the Vedas, and also that supreme feminine principle, the Madonna, as you said, the mother who is actually within us and doing our sadhana for us, as we think, as Sri Aurobindo also said, we are not doing it. The mother is doing uh, the whatever ascesis. You think you're doing it? No. So, any concluding thoughts on
Yeah.
the divinity that is feminine?
So the beauty of another very beautiful aspect is that our the Vedic tradition, which was continued in different forms by following traditions, is every aspect of life can become a tool in the path towards self discovery or the discovery of the divine. For example, sound. Now, much later came the concept of matrika, where every sound is a potential power of the mother. Matrika means mother, right? Or the mothers. But even in the Veda, this knowledge of sound is so important. Through sound, you can discover who you are. You can purify your speech, purifying the dialect of the tribe, if I'm tempted to use that word. By purifying your speech, you can not only crystallize the truth, you can make it eternal, you can make it available to others. That is the power given to our speech, the sound itself. But then they go to forms, and form itself can be a means to reach the formless. Now that is absolutely genius. You will see again in some paths they say form is to be rejected, um, but in the Vedic approach, form was important. Everything was important. Form, mathematics, the body itself, um, the sound, music, linguistics, everything became important. So you'll see the yantras, even the Vedic, the altar was a yantra. It had a particular mathematics to it, but it had a certain significance. And if we look at the Vedic mathematics, certain ratios, the golden ratios, certain associations of numbers have their own power. And that is something that was very beautifully studied by them. And actually, we are carrying it even to this date. Even in modern traditions, if you look at the Matri Mandir was created according to a certain very precise, to the nanometer, which they, of course, we couldn't create that, but that is the beauty of using the form to reach the formless. So many ways, through feeling, through thought, through lack of thought, through work, through sound, through mantra, through processes of the body we call kriya. How many ways to approach that which is really infinite and has infinite ways? And if we can appreciate that, then a lot of our silos might drop away, and we realize that everything is a path towards the divine. Everything, depending on our predilections, we can use anything and everything as a way towards the divine. It could be music. If you love music, go deep into music. If you love poetry or you're a literary person, you go deep into literature. And that is a way of approaching the divine. So that is the absolute, beauty and the genius of the Vedic paradigm.
Well, wonderful. I'm reminded of what the Pope recently said about AI. It's like unleashing Babel or Babel, as you will, on humanity. But the Veda is showing us that
Yes,
sound itself is sacred, and the matrikas, the enunciated, morphemes and phonemes, and all the bits of sound that give rise to, our construct, the form, as you said, the form of our words and vocabulary. Actually, these are themselves infused with energy, divine
yes,
energy, creative power and potential, so that they are actually mantras in different
yes,
forms. That's why we call them bija mantras,
yes,
which are feminine.
yes,
Uh, and we always intensify. Even Om, we start with Om, but then we say Reem, Shreem, Kleem, and so on.
yes,
These are associated with specific deities. And so I think one of the great things about walking through the portal of the Vedas, as it were, is that your fear, your anxiety, your constant sense of separation from yourself and from the universe, these get mitigated. And you begin to sort of flow, enter a state of flow where you look at things and you say, okay, let me check it out. It seems whatever easy or difficult, but let's see what's going on. Let's see what happens. So that openness rather than fear is, I think, a good way to understand, what the Vedas really mean to us. So, with those words, thank you for joining us. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and spread the word. Check us out on X, and see you again in the Amazing Vedas podcast with Dr. Pariksith Singh. Thank you and namaste.
yes.